Well, the pro-abortion people, they've been thinking about it. Yeah. In fact, they've been planning for this for a very long time. They've been seeing it come, right? I think with pro-lifers, they're like, this is never going to happen? Really? Come on. So the idea that it might really caught a lot of us off guard. The fact that they took this case, that this case has the potential of overturning Roe versus Wade. I, for one, thought, boy, I didn't know if I was going to see this in my lifetime, honestly, but here we are. Well, you've probably heard of the new normal. Have you ever heard of the next normal? Well, that probably best describes what's happening in the state of Michigan if Roe versus Wade were to be overturned. The fact is the pro-abortion movement is ready if Roe's overturned. The question is, are we? We'll be discussing that today on the Mark Harrington Show. Activist Radio, the Mark Harrington Show is brought to you by Created Equal, and you can support our ministry and the radio program by going to markharringtonshow.com and just click on the donate link. And today on the program, I have in studio Christen Pollo. She is with Protect Life Michigan. I've had Christen on before. Yeah. You're one of the elite because you have actually been on the program more than once.
It's an honor, Mark. I'm glad to be
It's good to have you. So she's in studio. That means she's down here in Columbus. Yeah. And there's a reason for that, because she's stealing all the Created Equal secrets. No, actually, we are working with them because they're interested in doing high school outreach. That's something you haven't done before, correct?
That's right. Today was my very first high school outreach using abortion victim photography. We've done a lot of outreaches inside schools with different methods, but this was a new approach that we're testing out.
Well, I don't want to steal the thunder because you're going to be on the Debrief, apparently, which is our other podcast that the team does. I'm sure they're going to be talking to you more about that and your observations of the high school outreach. But let me just say this. I love it.
Yeah, I did too.
I mean, it's short. I like that.
Yep.
But you have a little window of time to communicate the information, and the kids aren't as jaded as they are on college campuses. That's so right. I like that. But anyway, and it's important to be reaching high school students and before they get to college. Mm-hmm. That's been my view altogether. So anyway, I wanted to bring you on, and in my intro, I talked about we understand we're trying to figure out the new normal, right? Everybody's like, okay, what's the new normal with the post-pandemic if we ever get through this?
Change every day.
Yeah. So I thought of the next normal, because it just seems like we have another normal and then another normal and then normal. It's not really a new normal. It's a next normal. So yeah. I thought about that in terms of the abortion battle. And, of course, with Dobbs v. Jackson coming down the pike, the ruling will be handed down by the U.S. Supreme Court this year. I'm one of those that thinks they're going to do it before summer. Just me. Okay. I think they're going to get it out of the way. But that's just my own thoughts. Yeah. And if I'm right, you can send me money. But anyway, the Roe v. Wade could be overturned. Obviously, it might not be overturned, but we need to be thinking about that. And in my intro, I said that, well, the pro-abortion people, they've been thinking about it. Yeah. In fact, they've been planning for this for a very long time. They've been seeing it come, right? I think with pro-lifers, they're like, this is never going to happen? Really? Come on. So the idea that it might really caught a lot of us off guard. The fact that they took this case, that this case has the potential of overturning Roe versus Wade. I, for one, thought, boy, I didn't know if I was going to see this in my lifetime, honestly, but here we are. And, I don't want to get ahead of things. I'm not here to predict the outcome, but we are all anticipating it being overturned. Mm-hmm. And we want to talk about what you guys are planning. But first of all, let's find out what our opponents are planning. And so every state that is, if you read the pro-abortion literature, there's probably between 22, 26 states that they think might outlaw abortion, or at least the post or pre-Roe statutes will kick into effect, or there'll be a trigger law or something of that nature. Michigan's one of those. Yep. You guys have a 1931? Right. 1931, you have a law that was put in the books.
We have a complete ban on abortion in Michigan. So when Roe falls, abortion will be illegal in our state. And it's a really strong law that has been upheld many times. There have been challenges to it. They've tried to knock it down. It's one of the strongest bans in the nation. That obviously, when Roe falls, we're really looking forward to that kicking into place.
And that makes Michigan a little bit unique. I don't know how many states have that kind of thing. A lot of them have trigger laws, which were passed since Roe's been in effect.
That's right.
And those will kick in if Roe's overturned. But this was actually in effect and never enforced. The enforcement of it stopped, of course, when Roe was handed down. But because of that, the abortion advocates aren't going to play dead and roll over.
Unfortunately,
they're mobilizing.
They keep coming back.
So let's talk about that. I think what was a couple weeks ago, you guys got wind of this. Tell us what's going on. Planned Parenthood, all the typical suspects here are lining up to do something to change that outcome if Roe was overturned.
Yeah. So on January 7th, just a couple weeks ago, Planned Parenthood Advocates of Michigan, the ACLU, a couple other groups banded together and filed with the Board of Canvassers in Michigan to collect signatures so that they can put a constitutional amendment on the November ballot in Michigan. A lot of people, I'm hearing a lot of misunderstanding. They're saying, oh, the legislature will never pass a law like this. Well, it's not the legislature. It's going to go to the people, and us Michiganders will vote on that come November if they collect the signatures they need. They need about 425,000 signatures. I suspect they're probably going to pay some good money to get those, and that this will end up on the ballot. But the magnitude of this, it is going to be the biggest fight that we've had in Michigan's pro-life history, because this would repeal Michigan's abortion ban and repeal all of our pro-life laws, 50 years of pro-life laws, and make abortion an unrestricted, unregulated, constitutional right in our state.
Wow.
And then the only way for the pro-life movement to do anything about that would be for us to pass our own constitutional change in the future, which is a difficult thing to do. It would make restricting abortion unconstitutional in our state. So this is a serious battle. It's
the mother of all battles.
It is.
Or the end game. Sorry.
The end game. So we're going to be spending a lot of time fighting that.
Yeah, I want to talk about that. So we have the Planned Parenthood, of course. You got the ACLU, which I always wonder, what happened to the ACLU? There was a day. Actually, the ACLU stood for freedom, liberty, all those things that America used to stand for. Not anymore. They have their reproductive rights department or whatever. I guess they've jumped in here. Yeah. The typical suspects are behind this. From what I can read here, they need, as you say, 425,000 signatures. That's a tall order. That equates to 71,000 signatures a month. That's a lot. And by July 11th. So we are in February now. So they have a short window here to get going. Do you know if they're already out and about? I mean, the language has been approved, correct?
Yeah, the language that will be on the ballot has been approved, and anyone can view that online. But they haven't started collecting signatures yet. I think there's like a finalization meeting, and then they'll start. I think it's on February 11th. But once that date hits, when they start collecting signatures, they have 180 days. 180 days. So the clock starts ticking.
So the question that I would ask is, and I know the answer, but I'm going to ask you anyway.
Okay.
Why wouldn't they just go through the legislature? Why wouldn't they just try to ban abortion through the legislature? Why? Why are they going to the people?
This is a powerful move on their part, because if they can do this, and if they're successful, and just so you guys know, success looks like 50% voting yes plus just one person.
Right.
That's all they need. They actually take the power away from the legislature if they succeed in getting this passed, because then the pro-life side can't restrict or regulate abortion at all. We can't, our hands are tied legislatively speaking.
And in Michigan, do you have a majority in both Senate and House?
Yes,
Republican?
Yes, but
our
your governor is very pro-choice.
Awful. Yeah, she's terrible. So that's why. They're not going to go to the legislature because they can't get it done through the legislature. It's funny. They say, we want the people of Michigan to be represented. And I said, well, there's a system for that. It's called your legislature. That's typically how we do things here.
Yeah.
Constitutional amendments are an option, but they're rarely used. And they're only used in this case because they know they can't get it done otherwise. And here's what they're counting on. And I think you know this. Lying. They're going to lie
and they
about
already
what this
have
is,
been,
right?
Mark. I mean, frankly, the
game.
initial press on day one was saying that this is about birth control and miscarriage, and even the way the language is written in the proposal is so deceptive that I know a lot of people, Right to Life in Michigan, has been fighting for that language to be changed so that it's fair and it's clear to the voter what they're voting for.
Yeah, so of course they're going to lie. They're going to say if this law, this 1931 law, was put into effect, that women are going to be thrown in prison, right?
Yep.
They're going to be back alley abortions. They're going to be all over that, right? Yep. That'll be their ad campaign, right?
Yeah. If Roe falls,
and it'll play on the. It'll play emotionally. It'll work with some people. Here's what I want to read. This is from the website. I don't know which one this is. This is from one of the campaign websites. MIReproductivefreedom.org, which is Michigan, MIReproductivefreedom.org. They say this. In Michigan, I'll quote, in Michigan, we trust women. There we go. I love that one. The decision of whether to become pregnant or a parent is too important to leave to politicians. I think to myself, really? That's our system of government, a representative republic. Politicians, they're our public servants. That's how we generally get things done. But, hey, we don't leave it to politicians. Ensuring that reproductive freedom, there's another great euphemism, is protected by our state constitution means politicians in Lansing won't be able to interfere and deny our personal decisions. You can see it now. I mean, that is their campaign. Yeah. So how are you going to counter that? How are you going to confront that kind of messaging?
I think our education on this is going to focus around the fact that this is a radical proposal that even the average pro-choice Michigander or American would not support. We're talking about legalizing late-term abortion.
Is it up to birth? I mean, there are no limits in the thing, right?
Right. Okay. That's correct. Yeah.
Wow.
There really isn't, because the way, kind of like Doe, way they define these terms, say you can have a late-term abortion if it affects the health or the mental health.
I can't say mother anymore.
So
they're birthing person.
So we're going to focus on exposing how radical and extreme it is, and the fact that even if you're pro-choice, these are things that you won't support. The fact that a minor could have an abortion in Michigan, a child, when she couldn't go on a field trip without her parents' permission, but she could have a late-term abortion without their permission or knowledge. There's so many things that, even if you're pro-choice, I would say this is a bridge too far. Let it be dealt with in the legislature.
So what are you guys going to do? I know Right to Life in Michigan, as you said, has their campaign. They're going to be doing a lot of TV ads, which is great. You guys are more of the grassroots, boots on the ground, like Created Equal. What do you see your role being?
I think there's a lot of organizations that I hope step up to the plate in their unique way. I hope that Created Equal joins us a little bit in Michigan to help with this.
At the right price. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
But we do have a grassroots effort. We have hundreds of students around the state that are already trained in having effective conversations on abortion. So if we can change someone's mind and help them see that abortion is wrong in all cases, we can certainly help them see that this proposal isn't a good fit for our state.
And maybe going door to door, that kind of stuff. You guys are good at that. I mean, I imagine you've got. I mean, we don't obviously. Neither of our teams have. We have endless resources, personal or human resources, but we can't mobilize.
We have a lot of manpower, and I think we're going to spend a lot of time educating people wherever we can, door to door, on the streets, phone calls, whatever it takes, to let people know that this is not something that they should vote yes in, no matter what their position on abortion. This is not a proposal that they should support.
So, folks, you can get involved. You can go to Protect Life MI, protectlifemi.org. That's right. We're talking about what a post-Roe America would look like, and specifically what Michigan would look like. And this is happening across the country. I'm not saying constitutional amendments are being proposed or put forward by all the abortion advocates, but they are mobilizing people, and we need to be ready to go with our own campaigns. I've talked about it here on the program, what Created Equal's role would be in a post-Roe America. We kind of have a roadmap that we put together. It's what we do best. I mean, we're not going to go off into the political realm, but we can help in states where we have the highest likelihood of outlawing abortion. That's where we're going to be focusing our efforts. So I'm here with Christen Pollo. She's the executive director of Protect Life Michigan, and you can find out more, again, go to protectlifemi.org. Okay, Chris, you got something else?
I was just going to say, I think our organizations are so uniquely positioned to help in a post-Roe world because we deal with public opinion, Mark. And so when Roe falls and abortion is restricted in these states, we have to be there to ensure that the culture remains pro-life, that people's minds are continually changed, or we could lose.
Easily. I mean, it could be reversed the other direction overnight, because I can tell you the pro-abortion advocates, the lawyers right now are already drafting the case to try to embed it in the Equal Protection Clause of the U.S. Constitution. I guarantee it's happening now amongst all these other possibilities. So we've got to be ready. We will be, listen, if Roe's overturned, we're ready. If it's not, we're ready. I mean, we're always ready. We're ready.
Not going away.
We're not going away.
Fight tooth and nail to protect life.
Yeah, so what I want to do in the time we have left, which isn't a whole lot here, is just talk about the landscape of the debate. We both, as you know, you guys are very invested in your campuses in Michigan. We go to college campuses as well. And I just want to ask you generally, what do you think the biggest challenges are? Now we're coming, 2 years into the pandemic. You have all these other things happening with the, social justice movement, if you will, and trying to categorize the abortion debate in reproductive justice. They talk about that it's not allowing for abortion is oppressive. It's oppression. And
I think abortion is oppressive.
I do too. So how are you? I mean, I know how we're doing it, but I want to know what you guys are doing to try to counteract those arguments on campus. We have to be ready. We have to be constantly keeping up with where the culture is going in these debates. So
I think the biggest challenge is that today people, especially the college students we talk to, really see this as a circumstantial issue. So they'll say, I'm personally opposed to abortion. I can look at this picture of a baby torn to pieces and say that that's wrong. But, we don't know what that particular woman is going through. And so we have the job of helping them see that no matter the circumstance, killing is not a solution to problems. Violence is not a solution. And we take a human rights approach to this. As you said, people care a lot about justice. They care about human rights. And so a lot of times, in fact, I did it today in front of the high school. I asked, do you believe in human rights? Who do you think should have human rights? And if we can see that this is a little human being torn to pieces by abortion, isn't abortion a violation of that? And I think it helps them frame the debate, because now they either have to find a way to defend violating human rights or try to explain why abortion isn't that. And that's a difficult thing to do. You find a lot of people change their minds.
It seems like everybody's for equality except for the unborn. And that's the the big debate now is all about equality, right? Well, really it's about equity, but it's equality, and we should make it about that. If we can make the case for the unborn, prove that they're human, they are being excluded from that equation. And they're the ones that are doing that, not us. We're the inclusive people. I mean, we're including everyone into that equation. So I think it's always played well on campus. We don't just do it because it works. It's the right message. It's true. And that's why I think the photos are important. And I want to finish with that. You are one of the few. So thank you for this.
Thank you for radicalizing us. Can I say it that way?
You have seen the light in the proper use of abortion victim photography in your outreach. Could you just share, kind of your story, how you progressed through the processing as to whether this is something you want to do or not?
This guy, Seth Dreyer.
Oh, he was the one, huh? Uh-oh.
So we actually
Should've
had
never
someone
listened to
from
him.
Created Equal come in to speak at one of our events, or I had heard him somewhere. I was kind of opposed to abortion victim photography. I thought it was radical. It didn't make me very popular anytime I used it.
This is true.
But when I heard Created Equal talk about why and respond to objections, I had nothing left. I just knew that I didn't have any objection that they could not answer. So I decided to try it, and we did a comparison.
That's the step that people don't go.
That's
They'll
right.
all, most of them will acknowledge
Yeah.
that photos of injustice work, social
That's right.
reformers have used them historically. And they'll say there's a place for this in the pro-life movement. And they'll say, I love what you do, but then they'll never
I'm
go
not
to the
doing
next
it.
step. They'll never go to the next step
Right.
and actually do it themselves.
honestly,
you guys did.
I did.
You did.
And the thing that shocked me was not how angry people were. That's what I was so afraid of, that people would be so upset. What shocked me was the continued apathy. Even when you're
with those.
standing there with these
Yep.
horrible images.
So how does
they're
it help
still
you? We've got
apathetic.
about 20 seconds left. How does it help you in your debates? I mean, it is another tool.
It is
I think a highly
great
effective one.
tool.
How does it help?
Because it cuts
Assist.
through all of the rhetoric and it gets right to what's
In a
really
moment.
happening.
Right.
Exactly.
In a
the
moment.
same way other images have helped end
Right.
other injustices.
Right.
It just works, and we have the statistics to prove it. We track all of that. So I'm eternally grateful to you guys for that.
Well, we're glad that you've come around. You've seen the light. And we will be traveling together, actually, with other groups, Canadian Center for Bioethical Reform, Toronto Right to Life, some groups out of California this summer. We're going to New York City,
Can't
which will
wait.
be an awesome outreach week with Protect Life Michigan. So if you want to find out more, folks, you can go to Protect Life Michigan. That's Protect Life MI, protectlifemi.org. My guest has been Christen Pollo. Christen, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you for having me again. I appreciate it.
So, friends, I want you to take action today, and there's a couple of marching orders that I'd like you to do here. The first is this: if you like what you hear on the Mark Harrington Show, I want to encourage you to follow us on our podcast, which you can pick up 24/7 on all the popular podcasting platforms. We have a new player that's embedded in the website, markharringtonshow.com. You can pick it up there. You can listen to it there as well. But like I say, you can pick it up on any of the popular podcasting platforms anytime you wish. Also, I need more input. I want to hear from you. If you have a suggestion for a guest, you can go to our website at markharringtonshow.com and submit a comment. Or if you have a question for me or just a comment, and I can read it on the air and answer it. So you can get involved in the program and, maybe make a suggestion as to what you'd like to be addressed on the show that's not being addressed currently, or a guest that might actually be someone that our listeners would enjoy hearing from. So those are two things you can do. And then finally, I just want people to be aware of our upcoming Justice Ride. And a Justice Ride is simply this. This is our premier training program for Created Equal. We've been doing this now for around 11 years. And the concept is basically designed after the Civil Rights Freedom Rides. And just to give you a little bit of history, the Civil Rights Freedom Rides were a turning point in the Civil Rights Movement. And it happened in the early 1960s, where generally young people, mostly, defied the rules of the buses in the South, who were ordered by the federal government to segregate. And many of them didn't do that, and so they didn't segregate. So students from around the country, mostly, boarded these buses in defiance to the segregation rules that the bus companies implemented. And they just broke those rules, and they jumped on these buses, and there were certain routes that they'd take throughout the South. They were called the Freedom Rides. And those Freedom Rides led to all kinds of conflict. In other words, there was violence, there was bus bombings, and it captured the attention of the nation, and I think was a turning point in the Civil Rights Movement. And so what we've done with the Justice Ride is kind of patterned that off of the Freedom Rides. Now, obviously we're not looking for violence. We're not looking to get put in jail or anything like that. But the thing that made the Freedom Rides work was synergy. And synergy is when a group of people get together and they work for a cause that is bigger than themselves, and that there's this commonality, like-mindedness, a kindred spirit that is developed. And that's what happened with the Civil Rights Freedom Rides. These were relationships that were developed and maintained throughout their lives. This was a turning point in their life. And so what we're trying to create as well on the Justice Ride is a similar synergy for young people to jump on buses that we charter and we take down to the South, primarily Florida, for a week-long training. We train them in the bus, we train them in the classroom, and then we take them out to college and high school campuses and give them an opportunity to use what they've just learned on college campuses. And you can support that work. That is the Justice Ride by going to markharringtonshow.com and give us a donation. It costs $300 to send one of our young persons or young people on a Justice Ride. You can send us a gift for $300. You can send us a gift for $30. That would be a tithe of the cost that it would be for a young person to come on the Justice Ride. But you can go to markharringtonshow.com and give on the donate link to our Justice Ride, which will launch on February 26th. So we'll see you next time. God bless you. God bless America. And remember, America, to bless God.
You've been listening to Mark Harrington, your radio activist. For more information on how to make a difference for the cause of life, liberty, and justice, go to createdequal.org. To follow Mark, go to markharringtonshow.com. Be sure to tune in next time for your marching orders in the culture war.